And we took so long to get people to understand the use of purchasing gloves for the employees and the volunteers to wear, and took so long to get people to understand the importance of wearing them.
And
And
changing
now
it.
to change it,
Yes, sir.
to do away with it.
Well, and
Back.
changing the glove.
Yeah,
And changing it.
and it's mostly when to change it.
Yes.
You can handle raw food, you can handle cooked whatever. You
Yes.
still have to change the
Yeah,
gloves.
yeah.
But you can handle raw or uncooked food, that's not ready to eat, with bare hands.
Right.
According to food say certified.
Correct.
But before you actually put it on the plate that's ready to eat, that's when you're gonna have.
Well, and the thing about it is it's so diverse, and can be so misleading.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is to do it in a way where you're less likely to have a mistake and have something happen.
Yes, sir.
And so my mindset with my crew is, I don't really care how many pair you use, you change them.
Mhm.
After every use, every time you go from one stage to another, or you're changing what you're doing, change gloves. Proper temperatures for hot and cold holding. When temperatures play a major role, I mean, it isn't even the main thing that should have been mentioned is the type of the ways that you can that this problem can come. It can be from physical, or it can be personal that you get it, and that physical end of it comes from how you handle stuff, which we were just referring to in reference to changing gloves and that stuff, or it can be that not being able to identify it when it comes in that way. People who are at great risk, young children, the elderly, sickly people, pregnant women, people on medications. And these are people that I mentioned earlier. The reason why they're at greater risk is because they have a weaker immune system, and so they're greater at risk. For so many years, and anybody that's been in the restaurant industry might know raw oysters was such a big hit forever. And people were getting sick and dying at one time. And I mean, there was a huge survey within the American Culinary Federation to research and find out if it might have been the oysters or if it might have been the water. But they researched it and came back and found out that some of those cases that people had died from the raw oysters were elder people whose immune system wasn't strong. And I mean, something as simple as bacteria could be as simple compared to get pneumonia, and you get sick and you just never come around from it. That's those are a pic of shots of what bacteria looks like. And these are stages on what happens in the bacteria. That's a starting stage. After 20 minutes, it doubles. After another 20 minutes, which is 40 minutes from the time that it's here, it's quadrupled. 20 minutes later, which is an hour into having it into your system, it's grown to that much. You're most likely foods to become unsafe, that you would get sick from a few foods usually that are high in protein. Foods that are moist, neutral or slightly high in acid. And some examples of that are the high in protein foods would consist of tofu, meat, milk products, beans and rice. Soy proteins, fish, sprouts, raw seeds and shell eggs, and sliced melons, baked potatoes, and garlic. That fat tom is a great sign, and they use that as a reminder of sharing with you things to think about that can always make you remember what to be concerned about and consider in reference to it. Healthy food become unsafe, poor personal hygiene, and time and temperature abuse. You see this over here, these eggs, and a lot of that stuff seems common. I mean, people do it every day, and you don't think it's a big deal. You know, you have a big banquet or you have a big Sunday brunch, and you bring eggs out, and you know, times of old, it was not a big deal for eggs to be out. People usually transport eggs that didn't have a bunch of chemicals and stuff in them. You'd have got old farmers that was transport eggs on the back of a truck, and people never got sick. But with all the stuff that's going on in the world today, and all the chemicals and all the additives that they're using in product today, things are not like they used to, and you're more likely to get sick for not practicing safe temperatures than ever before. One of the biggest causes of foodborne illnesses is personal hygiene. People that don't wash their hands properly, or people that don't wash their hands often enough. Okay, what do we mean by personal hygiene? Statistics are showing us that a lot of the foodborne illnesses is coming from the personal hygiene, and pretty much the most part that I think that they still referring and going back to is hand washing. Dirty clothing and dirty people can contaminate food. Personally, I don't think that I don't care how much a person are willing to serve and want to work in your kitchen. If they seem like somebody that need to be working in the maintenance department or working out cutting the yards, I mean, we just have to tell them that. I mean, the biggest, I know I have forever struggled with trying to figure out how to hurt a volunteer's feelings. And I think that's one of the biggest things. You don't want to turn a volunteer off, and I think we all within this ministry, within the church ministry, and serving within the church, depend on help from volunteers. And most of you here, is most of our help here, or most of your help volunteers, volunteer based?
Chef, I might add, every place I've gone to, I always try to have structure. And I have signs outside the doors, on each of the doors. And it basically said no open toe shoes. I give them my rules before you even walk in the door.
Right. And
many of them respect that.
Yes.
I mean, if you tell them, if they see it up there, and I say, hey, if they walk past and act like they didn't see it,
yes, you remind them.
I say, hey man, no offense, but we all wear hairnets here, and they accept that.
Yes, yes, and that's
even the volunteers.
That's a great point, because now when a person sees that reminder on a door, they're less likely to feel like you're discriminating against them if you allow them to come in and say something about how they're dressed or what they're wearing, you know. And I don't know about you all in your workplace, but just nowadays, I mean, forever. I mean, when I would ever go on an interview, I mean, it was like going to church. Times are over. People come out for an interview now, and you know, you wonder if they're going to wash the car or if they're going to cut the yard. People don't really care how they come for an interview nowadays. I mean, it's amazing, you know. But I just think that in the food service industry, we need to make sure it's our duty, it's our responsibility. Yes, sir.
I've got an individual part-timer that works in our cafe, and he's a big guy, you know, just football big. And he sweats profusely. And is there anything that, you know, I don't want to, he's a good worker, I don't want to say, hey, you sweat too much, you know, go to the back, but is there anything you suggest for that? Because the last thing a customer wants to see is him, you know, going like this and making their
Give him a
drinks.
chamois.
What type of gear you guys wear on uniforms?
Just T-shirts. I
Yeah.
mean, it's cafe baristas, so they're.
Yeah, what I've done with my staff, we wear the dry fit,
Mhm.
and it really helps. It keeps our bodies cooler, and it keeps our body cooler. It helps a
Yeah.
lot.
Chef,
That might not help with someone who just sweats.
Sweats.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
head
Some people
sweat,
just-
so
Oh,
it's
wow.
like.
Yeah, some people just
Yeah,
sweat.
we
Or
have-
move him to another department
Yeah.
where it's
Put him back.
cooler.
You probably just have to reroute him to a different position.
department
And
where it's
you know,
cooler.
different things work. What's that there? Yeah, you know, with myself, year round, I wear long jackets. And I don't care how hot it is, because actually, this jacket is cooler than me than a t-shirt.
I agree.
So I wear a jacket year round, and it helps me, but in a case like that, yeah, does he wear a chef hat?
No, he doesn't.
Does he wear a hat?
No.
What is he doing? What is
Like I
his
said,
issue?
he's just he might be doing frozen drinks or maybe sandwich prep, or making.
Did you get him a fan?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is your area that hot?
Yeah.
No, he's the only one.
Have you ever spoken about
Is he sweating anything out?
Yeah, he needs a little fan.
I may
one
need
of
to
those
get
portable
him a
fans.
do-rag with a cafe logo on it or
Yeah.
something.
Something,
but-
yeah.
Headbands,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the sweat won't go into the food.
Sweatband.
Yeah, it's vital.
People will see it.
Yeah.
You have ever spoke to him about it?
In
He
a
could, because he
round-
could have a problem.
Yeah, in a roundabout way.
That's a hard conversation. to
It-
have with
it
someone.
is.
We say he stressed the part he was a big guy. So he
Yeah, that's it.
he stressed that
So
first.
what about your temp?
And he said football.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the cafe is out in the lobby, so we keep that thing just like any other church.
Yes, sir.
Cool, you know.
Uh-huh.
So I'll just work on
Yeah,
getting him
it's vital, brother.
Yeah,
a
he needs-
hat or moving
Yeah,
him
he
to a
needs
different
something
area.
to absorb it, so he won't
Yeah.
go into the food.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want no salty burger.
No. How ways that food can become contaminated from a personal hygiene standard, and simple things that can lead to contamination. And when we look at this stuff, it seems so simple, and just watch people sometimes. I mean, it's just people just don't think about it. You don't think of it as and it's just a habit for me to watch what people do. And to notice it, and you have to be on your guard if you're in that leadership role when you look at these. And then personally, if a person has a runny nose or something like that, a coughing or sneezing, they don't need to be there. Whether they are on the clock or they're volunteering, they really don't need to be there. Scratching your scalp, running your fingers through your hair, rubbing your ear, wiping or touching your nose, touching an infected pimple or wound. A pimple or wound should be bandaged anyhow. It seems off the wall and it seems gross, but if people show up, it'll amaze you the way people show up to work sometimes, especially in the food service industry. And we just hit on a dirty uniform, or dirty clothes. And the same thing with that. You go in some establishment, fast food places, or you see people on their way to work. I've even seen people getting off the bus or going to Wendy's somewhere with their work apron on.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
bizarre.
Or the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. Okay, before you come to work, this is just a common thing that people should do: the shower, the bathing before work, wearing clean clothes. We know, but I think the jewelry and the trimming of the nails is something that really not enforced anymore. I remember in my younger days in the industry, a wedding ring was the only thing that was permissible, that you was allowed to wear in it. But now people just wear whatever, and it's really not enforced. And the state and health officials is really trying to gain control over that again. It's almost as big as trying to get back to healthy eating for students in the school system. They're trying to gain that back again. It's like they've lost control over it, And then the biggest part about it, we don't have a supporting cast as far as the law goes. You know, it's so easy for the person to scream discrimination and want to file some type of suit for you if you're in the secular world. But then what we're up against in ministry in the church side of it is we have to deal with the fact of hurting person feelings and not allowing them to be able to volunteer again. So I mean, it's tough. It's win-win, and I think the biggest thing that we have to do, or our biggest asset, is we have to set standards. And just like Chef said in the beginning, have your rules and regulations in place so that when people come, they'll see what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, and you're less likely to have a problem. We've discussed how to wash hands already. Proper ways to serve food. There again, a lot of that stuff is self-explanatory. But I mean, if you go out to eat, even watch people how they are servers nowadays. I mean, what makes it so tough is that it seems to be such a broad problem. When you go into restaurants, you see servers carrying coffee and carrying water and carrying drinks. They got them up about the rim of the cup. It's just, and you know, when you set those standards and those rules and regulations, you tell them don't pick it up that way regardless if it's empty or if it's full. And that way they can get it. I don't want you picking up a glass by the rim of it if you're taking it back to a dish area, because if you know that that's not the way we pick it up, you're less likely to serve it that way if you're taking it to a table with product in it.
Let's all just put their mouth on them.
Yeah.
You know, that's,
Yeah, yes. So there's a right way for carrying drinks. There's a right way for serving food with the tongs. And another thing, the ice. You know, ice or either the utensils is another huge problem that we have.
Oh, you know what? I recently, for me, working for a church downstairs at the country club, I come up with another solution. You know how you guys serve tea and water and you put ice on the side? I cover my ice with the saran wrap. You got people consistently talking and it's cold. So when they're scooping it up, hello?
Yeah.
It's sick.
Right.
I've learned to cover. I tell all my staff before they take it to each of the rooms,
Right.
cover it with plastic saran wrap. If they want, they can pull it back and get the scoop of ice and they cover it back up. It's working very well.
What about do any of you do buffets?
Yes.
Style
And then
serving?
in the beginning of my buffet, I'm not trying to cut you off.
No, go ahead. No, you're good.
In the beginning of my buffets, I put out little sanitizers right before they get to the plates. That's been a hit also. I've seen my share of people blowing their nose and they come in, hey Bill, how you doing? I'm like, I'm just sanitizing.
Yes.
And it's I mean, 'cause like you said, you got to be observant to your people.
What about sneeze guards? I mean, it's a huge, and the problem with ministry and with the church, a lot of the regulations and a lot of the things that are enforced, say in the clubs and in the restaurants and the hotels, you know, we don't have the same type of inspectors for one. Usually the state and the school and the church type inspectors are nothing compatible to the inspectors that inspect the restaurants and stuff like that. So they're a little bit more lenient.
Yeah.
So it's really,
They are.
what's that now we gonna say? Do you agree or not agree?
Well, we've only been open 2 years, and I mean, I think they've been out 4 times
Yeah.
to our little
Yeah.
tiny
Yeah.
cafe,
Yeah.
and they will find, you know,
Yeah, we just had an inspection just before I left on Tuesday.
Or
Yeah,
were they,
it's the same guy.
is he strict? Stern?
He
He's pretty
is.
lenient?
No, he's pretty strict. I mean, well, I get, you know, I think we forgot to, one of the sous chefs forgot to label, the beans, and
Right.
he just put it in there, and then he's like, yeah, so that was the point.
Right.
And I think maybe excessive ice or something in the walk-in.
You walk in.
Hmm.
And mine was a towel on the counter.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
I had a clean towel